All right, what's going on, folks? I hope this is working now. Let's see if we can get this Snagit to run well. Um, so check this out. I'm going to do 4 problems for you. I'm going to do as many as I can. Or I'm going to show you as many as I can just to kind of expose you more to this math. Hopefully this does 2 things. It's going to set me up to teach you guys real science and how math relates to that science. That's why it's important to me. It will also help you understand your math class better. I'll be honest with you, I'm a big fan of math and science. And you know what? There is a possibility, if you go to the school next year, that I will be your math teacher. So wouldn't it be good for me if I made sure that your math is solid? So I'm going to try to make sure your math is solid so that way when we get into math class, I'm going to make you do this. All right? Also, your math teacher, your current math teacher, is a science teacher. She's a really good chemistry teacher, actually. So, I'm just trying to help a fellow science teacher out too. So, so anyway, we kind of talked about completing the square. I showed you, I gave you the motivation for why you would you take the number and then you divide it by 2 and then you square that whole thing. And the reason for that is because we like seeing perfect squares, right? Like, I spent the whole class kind of motivating for you why you would take a number, divide it by 2, and then square it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an application. Oh, no. I'll just put number. I put a circle there. It just means you can put anything in there. You divide it by 2 and then square it. That's what I mean. So does that make sense to you? All right, cool. Let me get this chat up and we'll get this thing running. There we go. Facepalm, Vic. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll make up a problem and hopefully this one works out well and then we'll just keep going from there. Got it? So I'll solve 4 problems for you, and like I said, I'm going to prove the quadratic equation. But for the quadratic equation, I want you to write down what I write down. I want you to look at the proof, but I want you to know that your homework that you will have from me or your math class is going to be a lot easier than what I'm showing you this proof for the quadratic equation. You're not going to be asked to prove the quadratic equation, not even next year when you take Algebra 1, like the high school version, and it's maybe even if it's from me, I won't ask you to prove the quadratic equation just like from scratch. All right? But so why do I even show it to you in the first place? Because my pet peeve, the thing I hate, is when people pull equations out of their butt and throw it up on the board and say, memorize this for the rest of your life. It's going to be useful to you, I promise. My goal is to say, let me show you where this comes from. It's not magic that I pulled out of my hat. It comes from pure logic. You just kind of approach it, and it works. Does that make sense? All right. All right, so I'm going to make up a problem, and hopefully I can make up the right one. It's hard to make up problems on the spot, but let's see. I'm going to have a plus 12, and then I'll have a minus 1x. I think that will work. X squared minus 1x plus 12. Yeah, that will work. Oh, yeah, and it equals 0. Okay? X squared minus 1x plus 12. And I'm going to solve this problem in 2 different methods. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square. Got it? And then I'm going to solve it. So, in completing the square, wait, do I want to do 1? No, I'm not going to do 1. Wait. Okay, wait. Erase that problem. I need to come up with a really good problem on it. X squared. Okay, x squared minus 8x plus 12. And I'll be honest with you, I'm just letting you know it's hard to come up with problems off the top of your head. Because you have to, like, when I come up with a problem, I have to make sure it's solvable for you guys. So I'm trying to, like, think of the problem and the solution at the same time. Okay, anyway. Let's try this problem. X squared minus 8x plus 12. All right, Sophia is saying, what I want to do is I want to solve for x. And let's take Sophia's approach, okay? So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So I have x squared minus 8x equals negative 12. I agree. I see what you're doing, Sophia. You're trying to get x all by itself. The problem that you're going to have here, Sophia, is this. Usually what we can do is we can factor out an x and we'll have x times blah, blah, blah equals negative 12. And then we take that blah, blah, blah and we divide it. So this becomes blah, blah, blah. And we'll have x equals negative 12 divided by blah, 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 right? But here's the problem. I know you guys get the answer, but hold on, let me go on and finish this. So this is the wrong way. Okay? Because it's impossible. Because the problem is when you pull out an x out of here, you'll have an x minus 8 left over. Do you guys get it? That blah, blah, blah is going to be an x minus 8. And if you divide both sides by x minus 8, you're going to have x equals negative 12 over x minus 8. And that's not solving for x. You didn't successfully get x all by itself on one side of the equation. And you can't. You can't do that. So, no, I wasn't going to tell you to factor. I was just going to say add c to both. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to solve this the old school way. And if this were a linear equation, if this didn't have an x squared on it, then that would be the perfectly correct way to go about it. All right? Now, here's the right way. I'll show you the right way. And this is the correct long way. What we're going to do is we're going to do this trick that I showed you last Tuesday called complete the square. I'll show you how to do it. I want you to take out a piece of paper and write it down. I promise you this lesson will help you. X squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. Okay? The reason why I put a big space in between there, and all I did was I rewrote this down. That's all I did. I didn't change anything. But the reason why I did put that big space is because I wanted to use that trick called complete the square. Do you guys remember what you do? You take this number over here, which is negative 8. You divide it by 2, which is what? Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Good. And then you square that. So negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, which is positive 16. Exactly. But I left an even bigger space because you can't just go around adding 16 to things. That's not fair. So you have to subtract 16 at the same time. Because if I add 16 and subtract 16, I didn't change anything. I just kind of like threw that in there because I know that that part will help. Exactly. Adding 16 and subtracting 16 is like adding 0. And I can add 0 as much as I want, and it won't change anything. All right, Sophia, this is what I explained on Tuesday. I thought I was very clear about this. The reason why well, here, let me do this. I'll show you the reason why I added 16 in the first place. Okay? The reason why I added 16 is because I can make this now x minus 4 squared. See these first 3 terms? It's the same.